Subtlety. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 4. The path of the 2017 solar eclipse crosses into the USA at the 33rd state. And exits at the 33rd parallel. Prince Harry turned 33 on the 15th of September. "33 days after the great solar eclipse of the USA was Yom Teruah, the Day of Alarm. On the day of the great Revelation 12 sign, Prince Harry meets Melania Trump. Closing ceremony of the 2017 Invictus Games. August 21st, 2017, the 233rd day of the year, inside the 33rd week of the year. And when was the last contiguous eclipse across the USA? The 8th of June, 1918, which was 99 years prior, or 3 times 33 years prior, and exactly 36,234 days prior. 36,234 has the following factors: 33 times 33 times 33 plus 33 times 3 times 3. 36,234 also has the following factors: 66 times 66 times 6 plus 66 times 153. 36,234 can be broken into the following two numbers: 36 and 234. 36 has the factors 6 times 6, and 234 can be broken into the following factors: 6 times 6 times 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. It just so happens that the ordinal Hebrew gematria for Harry equals 36. It also just so happens that the ordinal English gematria for Harry Charles Albert David is 234, the same for Henry Charles Albert David. And when is the next major eclipse across the USA? The 8th of April, 2024. These two significant eclipses are 7 years apart, Let's zoom in to take a closer look. The first thing of note here is the resemblance to the Hebrew letter Tav in its ancient pictograph form. The pictograph for the letter Tav began as two crossed sticks, which were vertically and horizontally aligned during the early period, which corresponds with Abraham, and was turned 45 degrees during the middle period, which corresponds with King David. It wasn't until the late period, when the book of Nehemiah was written, that it began to take on its more modern form. There is a secondary connection to the letter Tav through its numeric value, which is 400. And what does that have to do with an eclipse? Well, I'll tell you. If you Google the diameter of the sun, you will get 1,391,016 kilometers. If you divide that number by 400.400, you will get the exact diameter of the moon, which is 3,474 kilometers. And what about this unit of measurement that we're using called the meter? Where did that come from? Well, on the 30th of March, 1791, the French National Assembly accepted a proposal by the French Academy of Sciences that the definition for the meter be equal to 1/10,000,000th of the length of a quadrant along the Earth's meridian through Paris, that is, the distance from the equator to the North Pole along that quadrant. This means that the meridional circumference is 40,007.86 kilometers, which means that when the French made their measurements, every 10 meters was 2 millimeters longer than what they intended, which could easily have happened if they were using a chain or something like that to make their measurements, and the heat from the sun caused that chain to expand. Nevertheless, the intended circumference of the Earth was meant to be 40,000 kilometers exactly, which is a multiple of the numeric value for the letter Tav. So let me tie all these things together. We have the Hebrew letter Tav, which means and represents a covenant, a mark, a sign, a signal, a monument. And we have the number 4, which is the beginning of the numeric value for the Hebrew letter Tav, which is 400. So 4 is a very significant number in relation to the earth and the world. It was on day 4 that the material universe was completed. It was on day 4 that God explained why He created the sun, the moon, and the stars. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, it says, "And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and years." The Hebrew word for seasons is moed, and it means appointed times. And the first reason listed in regards to these heavenly bodies is that they are for signs. It should be noted at this point that there are other things in relation to the number 4 and the earth or the world. We have 4 points to the compass. We have north, south, east, and west, and what is referred to in the Bible as the 4 corners of the earth. We have 4 seasons. We have autumn, winter, spring, and summer. And in antiquity, there are 4 elements. There is water, earth, air, and fire. And as far as Adam was concerned, his world was the Garden of Eden. And out of the Garden of Eden, there was 4 rivers. So when the path of an eclipse forms a cross across the continent of a major superpower in the world that has not seen an eclipse for some time, I find it highly significant and reason for us to look further as to why. At the time of the eclipse, leading up to the eclipse last year, someone realized that there was a number of cities in the United States that had the name Salem that were also on the path of the 2017 eclipse. Now, the name Salem is the original name for the city Jerusalem, and it is Israel, where Jerusalem resides, that the 33rd parallel also passes through the northern part of Israel. So there's a connection between the USA and Jerusalem. And I say that there is a connection for more reasons than one, other than the 33rd parallel. Not only that, but we have the eagle's wings that were plucked from the lion in Daniel chapter 7 verse 4, and I believe being attached to the woman in Revelation chapter 12. The woman, I believe, is Israel, and the eagle's wings is the USA. I have done an analysis of the 51 Salems listed in the Wikipedia. Of those 51, there are some repeats that relate to the naming of railway stations and the Salem witch trials and those sorts of things. So the list actually narrows down. What is shown here is 20 Salems that are not on the path of the eclipse by any means. And what is shown here in light purple are 3 Salems that are just outside the 2017 eclipse path. And what is shown here in light pink are 6 Salems that are just outside of the 2024 eclipse path. And what is shown here in purple are 5 Salems that are on the 2017 eclipse path. And what is shown here in pink are 8 Salems that are on the 2024 eclipse path. And what is shown here with the green pin at the intersection of the 2 paths is a road named Salem, which just happens to be 33 meters away from the intersection of the 2 eclipses. And finally, here we have all the Salems put together in one screenshot, including the dark pink, dark purple, light purple, green, and yellow markers. How many 33s did you notice? Proverbs chapter 1, verse 4. To give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion.